Alright guys, we're going to do the walk around on your new camper. Here we go, Rich, let's do it.
Hi, my name's Rich. I'm going to show you your new camper. Right on this side here, if you decide to do a solar setup, if you buy the right brand that matches this plug-in, you can plug a standard solar setup that you can set around on the ground anytime. Okay, the solar will help keep your batteries trickle charged so you won't have to be plugged in or plug your truck in throughout the day to keep your batteries up.
Nice.
Here we have two 7-gallon propane tanks. You want to keep the valves either all the way open or all the way closed. Running them in the middle can potentially starve a appliance of the amount of gas flow that it needs, and it won't be efficient.
Okay.
So on the back here, we have a master slave switch. Whichever direction to the tank it's pointed to, that's going to be the tank that's the master.
Okay.
It's going to draw off of it. Say you want to run both tanks open, okay? Say you have a partial tank and it's nighttime, and if you don't have that second tank open, you could run out of gas and not have any heat in the middle of the night.
Okay.
If you're pointed towards this tank and this tank runs out at night, it will switch.
Automatic switch over
in a limited capacity, and you'll be able to continue running your heater. However, during the day, you want to check your tanks, because you're not going to, if you're running off of this tank, but that one's empty and you're actually running off of this tank, you're not going to get as much gas flow as you would if you switched it over to the full tank. So you need to check that once a day by loosening this and hefting it. Okay. Back here we've got two 12-volt batteries for you. That's going to be your power source when you are off the grid, when you're not plugged in and not running a generator.
Awesome.
Under here, this is what we call the breakaway. This is going to connect to your truck when you're hooked up. If you have any problems, a failure of anything coming, the trailer becomes disconnected from the truck, this will pull out. That's going to apply your brakes as long as you have battery power. So what this is not a parking brake. Because if you use it for a parking brake, you'll come out the next day and you'll have dead batteries and you'll wonder why. Gotcha. It's because this stays on as long as this is out.
Okay. Leave that in.
Leave that in at all times, unless you need to hook it through here to hook it to a unit, and then make sure you plug it back in.
Okay, sounds good.
Here we have your hitch, you have a light, and you have extend and retract. And extend is going to raise the unit, retract is going to lower the unit.
Okay, perfect.
Outside light.
Ooh, bright. LED this time, nice.
LEDs. This is your pass-through compartment. There is your center line hitch. This here is going to be for your stabilizers. If you choose to run your stabilizers by manpower, you're going to use that handle. A lot of people, what they do is they take their old impact that they have at home and they get an adapter and they put a 3/4 inch socket on it and keep a battery and a charger in their unit, and then Father's Day is coming up so they can get a new setup from their wife.
A little special gift.
Yep. These are your overflow tubes when you're filling the fresh tank.
Okay. So if you overfilled your fresh, it'll come out there.
When you're filling your fresh, you're going to fill it until you start to see water here, and then you're going to go and over and check your monitor panel, make sure it's full.
Cool.
If you're on an extreme angle and you don't have the unit leveled, you may get water out of this before you get the tank.
If you're leaning
full.
Okay.
Yep.
Makes sense. Awesome.
Wheel torque. When we prep these, we torque the wheels, we set the air pressure, okay? Just like a car, wheel torque needs to be retorqued a couple times a year. Typically, I recommend beginning of the season and partway through the season.
Okay.
Your wheel torque is going to be 120 foot-pounds. The reason this is so important to me is I have a buddy who bought a unit from a competitor, and Nobody told him about that. And he's going to Alaska for 60 days.
Sure.
He got outside of British Columbia and his 2 passenger side tires came off the trailer and they passed him on the highway. Now the important part of this whole conversation is when the insurance company asks you, did you torque your wheels? If you're honest and you say, no, I did not, and the failure was because of that, they may not cover the entire claim. Yep, he ate $2,000 of that claim. Outside shower. Hot and cold, you can set temperature. And then you have a little on-off valve right here. So you can set temperature for washing your dog or the grandkids or anything.
And off the kids, yeah.
And not having them scream about the temperature. You can shut it off right there and then turn it back on and come back to the same temperature.
Nice feature.
Need to make sure that top hose is tucked away, and sometimes it can be a challenge.
Especially brand new.
Especially brand new before they've been out in the sun and get a little more flexible. So, grab my key. There we go. Okay, this is what you call a city water connection. Anytime you're in a KOA or if you're using it for an extra bedroom at your house, you're going to have constant water supply. This is where you're going to put your water. When you put water here and it's turned on, you do not have to use the water pump because this does not fill the tank. This is going to fill the lines and you're going to have water. You're going to have water to all your faucets. Okay? This is your black tank valve.
That's the awesome thing.
This is the one that's going to help you spray out that black tank and get rid of the solids that stay in there when you drain it. It also helps wash any toilet paper that is stuck on your monitor probes.
And speed up that whole process too, which is nice.
Yes, it is nice. A couple things about tank maintenance. When we dump our tanks, which we're going to do right here, we're going to hook a hose here, and then we're going to have a valve back here and a valve here. Now they come color coded from the factory. The black tank is your sewer tank, and the gray tank is your sinks and shower and whatnot. So tank maintenance, we always want to dump the black tank first because we're going to leave solids in the hoses, and that's going to stink. So you dump the black tank first, you leave your valve open, you come put your hose up on the black tank flush, you run your black tank flush for a little while to get out some of the solids to wash down. Then when you're done with that, you're going to close this and you're going to open that gray tank.
Nice.
The cleaner water in the gray tank is going to help clean
it all out.
Clean the hoses and the pipes.
Awesome.
Another thing about tank maintenance that is important for a monitor panel correct operation over time. The hard water in Idaho will coat your probes with a residue. Well, when it gets coated enough, it is going to read 1/3 when you're empty or 2/3 when you're empty. So what I recommend is you take a gallon milk jug, you fill it within 4 ounces of the top and draw a line. You fill it within 2 ounces of the top and draw a line. The first thing you're going to do after you're done with emptying your tanks is you're going to fill that up, and you're either going to put a drop in or you're going to put 2 ounces of chemical in that smells good and helps break the solids down in the black tank. So if we can get those to liquefy as much as possible, then they don't stay in the tank and you don't have as much smell issue. The second chemical we're going to put in is probe cleaner. And you can buy all this stuff in the store. The reason I recommend the gallon is you can put the drop-ins in and they will dissolve. When you pour the gallon down the black tank, down the toilet for the black tank, it coats the bottom of the tank. So it doesn't matter where those solids end up when they roll down in there. The chemical will start breaking them down.
That's a good point.
Typically you're going to empty your gray tank a lot more than you are your black tank because you're using showers and cooking and everything. So you do the tank maintenance when you do the black tank empty. You want to occasionally put some probe cleaner in the gray tank to help with the monitor panels. And once in a while, prior to sanitizing and sterilizing your fresh tank, you can fill it up. You can put a little bit of probe cleaner, a couple ounces in there, let it sit overnight, and then empty it out, and then you can do a clean and sanitize on your fresh tank.
Nice.
Here we have another stabilizer.
Another stabilizer jack.
These come out. They stick really well when they're new. Over time, they get a little loose. So what I like to do is I like to drill a hole right there and put a cotter pin in so that you don't lose the cap when you're going down the highway at 80 miles an hour.
Right. Or Josh, don't drive at 80 miles an hour.
One or the other. Here we have your spare tire with a new Vicious cover on it.
Nice.
This is the 30 amp cord. It is attached permanently to the unit. Sometimes when you push it in there, if you just push it in and you don't make a big circle inside that box, when you try to pull it back out, it'll tie itself.
Right.
So if you see a bunch of these fingers pulling and you know you got some more, just feed it back in there and kind of work it a little bit.
And re-pull it out. Okay.
And then re-pull it out.
Simple.
I'm going to plug the unit in now.
Okay.
This is your water heater. The water heater is an excellent place for all the minerals and the dirt that comes in your garden hose to settle. So what I like to tell people, empty it. When you're coming back from your trip, you're going to open the fresh tank. You're going to open your low point drains. You're going to pull this plug. This is 15/16, a 3-inch extension with a 1/2-inch ratchet. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. You're going to pull that out. In the store, we sell a little valve that screws onto the end of your garden hose. It's got a little wand, and you can stick it up in there and you can spray it out. And you're gonna fill it up to where it's rushing out past the wand, and you're gonna do that a couple times, and that's gonna stir all that dirt up and let it come out.
Really
because on this style design, this plug is not at the very bottom, so you always have a little bit of water, and that's where that dirt's going to sit.
Okay.
Okay.
Get good flushing in there.
You have a 110 and propane water heater. So the controls for the entire setup will be in the coach, and we'll go over those later.
Okay, perfect.
Another feature, this is your P&T valve, pressure and temperature. This, when you're running 110, say you're gonna go hiking for the day and you turn your 110 on and you want hot water when you get back. The 110 doesn't shut off. It just continues heating as long as it has power. So to prevent over temperature, over pressurization of the tank, this has a spring in it and it will open. So if it burps like that and you have water down here when you're running on electric, it's perfectly normal for it to drip occasionally when you're running.
It's doing its thing, okay.
It's doing its thing. If it's running out, anytime you have the pump on or city water on, then the spring in this valve has gone bad and we need to replace it. So
Gotcha.
Bring it in and we'll fix it for you.
Okay.
All
Awesome.
right. One thing to note about filling your water heater, whether you're using the pump or you're using city water, you want to end up with an airspace. Okay, you want to fill it up, but you want to leave an airspace for expansion. When the water gets hot, it expands. It needs room, it needs airspace so that it can expand. If it's just filled completely up, then this valve will work overtime expelling water, and you're going to get a lot of water back out when you start heating.
Okay.
So how you fill it correctly, you go to your bathroom hot tap, you turn it on. You put your city water on, or you turn your pump on. You're not going to get any water out of that hot tap until this is full to the correct level. Once it's full to the correct, it's going to burp, it's going to shoot some air out, it's going to shoot a little bit of water out here. When you get a steady stream, that's when you're going to go and you're going to shut your city water off, or you're going to shut your water pump off and know that you're at the correct level and you have that air pocket that you need.
Perfect. Good information.
Ladder, go up and inspect and clean the roof a couple times a year. You want to get a soft bristle, long brush, and some roof cleaning solution that we have in the store. The important thing to remember about a rubber roof is the rubber roof is warranted for 12 years. The seals around all of the appliances are not warranted for 12 years. They are warranted for 90 days from the manufacturer. The reason that they do that is you could take this unit and go straight down to Death Valley and have the unit sit in 130, 135 degree temperatures, and those seals will dry out. The reason we want you to get up on the roof and clean it a couple times a year so that you don't, when it gets dirty, it's going to dry out.
Right.
And the seals are going to dry out faster.
Gotcha.
If you can store it in the shade, if you choose to buy a cover for it, your seals are going to last a lot longer. So what we want you to do is we want you to get up there, and the roof will hold a couple 100 pounds without a problem. Just remember that there are studs. So there are going to be slightly softer spots in between the studs. You learn where the studs are, you walk on the studs, you'll never have a problem. I'm about 200 pounds and I get up there every day.
Yeah. Yep, fully walkable.
So we want to clean, and what you're looking for in the seals is you're looking for hairline cracks. Hairline cracks aren't bad. When they become voids, when they become a spot that you
see through it,
you can see through, or big cracks, that's when you take the potential problem of allowing water into your unit.
Get through it.
Water gets into your unit, and then your cosmetics on the inside suffer.
Right.
And it's better to catch small cracks and clean and reseal as you go, rather than waiting till it needs a full clean and reseal, or a roof replacement if you've let it go bad. So roof maintenance is important to the cosmetics of your unit.
Definitely.
Here we have a little tie back for this door. Refrigerator, 110 only. Will not operate on 12 volt, will not operate on propane.
Yep, 110 only.
Okay. Outside barbecue.
With the wind guard.
With the wind guard. Very important. The wind guard is very important. The barbecue is not attached permanently to the LP hose.
It slides in and out with a drawer.
So we're going to put our propane hose on. And then we are going to come under here. I'm going to pull the cover off. And this is just a quick connect. You're going to push back, you're going to slide it in there, you're going to pull it back out. When it's seated fully, you'll be able to open your valve. With your valve open, you cannot disconnect this hose. So if you're having trouble disconnecting this hose, turn your valve off.
That's a good
and
point.
Release. Okay. If you want to use an outside barbecue or an outside something else, a little fireplace or something, there's another
propane
port there that you can use. This does not have a striker. You're going to need matches or a lighter, barbecue lighter to run. You're going to turn it. You're going to turn it on light. You're going to push down. You're going to allow a little bit of time for the gas to flow. You got to make sure your tanks are on, obviously, and then you're going to light.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay. Outside sink, hot and cold. Couple features and warnings that you need to know about. This has a waterless trap. It does not have your traditional P-trap, and that allows them to build this whole assembly not as tall. Okay. So it has what's called a waterless trap, and that is right here. What a waterless trap is, it's a rubber diaphragm inside that tube that requires a certain amount of water to open the diaphragm. So your sink is going to fill part way before there's enough water weight to open that diaphragm. So don't be concerned that it's not working. It may just not be full enough yet.
Gotcha.
Second feature with the rollout kitchen. These two water fittings tend to loosen up over time with pulling the kitchen in and out, in and out. So if you see a little bit of water on your floor coming out from under that bunk, or you see a little drip here, it's probably these hoses that just need to be tightened up a little bit, rather than bringing it into us and paying me for a diag for something simple.
And that's usually hand tight, not a wrench.
That's usually hand tight. Depending on hand strength, sometimes you might want to use a pair of pliers. Depending
Don't over tighten, it's plastic.
Do not over tighten, it is plastic. Correct.
Okay, perfect.
This is your refrigerator, the outside portion of your refrigerator. There are a couple fuses in here, one for 12 volt, one for 110. The important thing to remember is if you're in here and you're industrious and you need to, for whatever reason, you need to shut the valve off because this hose has gone bad or something, you can shut your gas off right there. If you need to work on this, you can shut your gas off. But remember, when you get done, you turn it back on or your fridge isn't going to work on LP.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so this is a condensation tray.
Yes.
And here's your 110 plug. The important thing to remember about a refrigerator and an AC unit is they produce a lot of heat in order to produce cold.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're picking your parking space, rather than picking the beautiful area and the view for the morning coffee, think about where you are in relation to the sun in the afternoon. If you can keep this wall and ideally the AC unit both in the shade in the heat of the day, your refrigerator is going to work better for you and your AC unit is going to work better for you.
Oh, that's a good point.
If they're superheated by the sun in the heat of the day, you're going to be less satisfied with the amount of cold you're getting out of each appliance.
Working double time.
Intake and exhaust for your furnace can be up to 140 degrees when running.
Don't sit by it.
Sit by it.
Don't
Make sure the kids know not to touch it.
Touch it.
It will burn you if you
It says hot.
if you put a easy up, a chair, a plastic table, anything up against this, it's going to melt.
It's going to melt or catch fire.
Yep. Okay. When you were dry camping, you want to fill that tank.
Water tank, yeah.
This is where you're going to put your hose.
Perfect.
We set the head of your hose will just fit in here, and then you'll get spillback. So we sell a little adapter. It's about 12 inches long.